This job was signed for $36,000, and very quickly, about a week later, I upcharged the customer to $50,000, and she said no, but later she said, okay, let's do it. Now you're probably wondering, T, how did you upcharge the customer $14,000? Give us the sauce. Give us the secret words. Give us the word track. Maybe you sent them a video and they're like, oh my God, I gotta have it. Actually, I'll tell you what it was. So we signed the contract for this front yard, right? It's pretty basic, nice front yard. We did this customer back in 2018. We did their backyard and they loved us so much. And she reached out and she's like, hey, I want my front yard done now. And we have a little bit of finances. So we pulled up and we ripped everything out. Obviously, you see right there, the driveway is left intact because I was trying to get her to do a new driveway, do a new driveway, do a new driveway. And she kept saying, no, we don't want a new driveway. We don't want to spend the money. We don't really care. The driveway's fine. I'm like, just do a new driveway. You guys are going to love it. You're going to be done. And you're never going to do landscaping again because the backyard is done. The front yard is done. The driveway's done. You're good. You're done. Period. Signed. Off. So they all said, both of them said no. I was like, all right, we'll let it go for a week. So we came back and then they were like, hey, the planter by the driveway side, we want to take it out. We want to make it bigger. So they wanted me to cut into the driveway to make the planter. And I said, guys, please listen to me. I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for 10 years. I know exactly what looks good and I know exactly what looks bad. The driveway needs to be replaced and you need to do no planter. You just need to have one big driveway because who cares about a planter when you need to park your cars? And they live in an area where a lot of people park on the street and it's kind of annoying for them. So I told them, no one's going to park in your driveway. Better to have a large driveway and not use it than have a small driveway and need space. But they were still very reluctant and they said, T, we're not trying to drop more money. We honestly just want to save the money. Our driveway's fine, but give us some ideas with the planters. And I said, all right, fine, we'll do it the way you want it. That's good. So we went back to the drawing board and I showed them a couple options. And then I listed out everything that they're going to get with like all the plants, and they have to water and they have to maintain, and we have to run a new water line. And it was one weekend. They were hanging out and they were really going back and forth. And I think I made an Instagram video about another driveway and I showed them a couple pictures. And they texted me on Sunday and they said, okay, fine, you win. Let's do the driveway. And that makes me very happy because I know that number one, the project is going to look fantastic with a brand new driveway because their driveway is really cracked. And number two, I get to make more money because this job was a smaller job. And on small, tiny jobs, especially under, 50 grand, I don't really make much money because a lot of it goes to setup and a lot of it goes to mobilization and back and forth and talking to the customer. So it's a lot of work for me to do small jobs compared to big jobs. So obviously right here, you see we are banging the driveway away. And this is the planter I was talking about. That little red brick to the left of it, they had a planter where they wanted plants. And I said, guys, it's going to be not good. Let's just make it one big, massive, clean-cut driveway. Obviously, an MVP to make this job very easy is the Caterpillar. This thing makes everything so nice. Look at just scooping the dirt out. I love doing driveways. It's fast, easy money, and it's such a very good way to get materials in and out. You don't have to worry about nothing. And look at that dude's truck. That's the neighbor. That literally their vehicles are parked in the street all the time. This is why I said it's a good idea to replace. And this driveway is original. This house was built in the 60s and 70s. It's old. Obviously, no one does red brick anymore, so this is like very dated. But one way I could spice up those red bricks is literally paint them charcoal or even white. That would make them look super modern. While we were doing this driveway, the customer was coming out every now and then, and she said, okay, you're right. We should do a driveway. But they were very, very, very happy after we actually poured it. Now, pouring concrete, you see, we dug 12 inches. Like we went 12 inches down. For driveways, you always must go 12 inches. And for grass, you always must put gopher wire. We learned this lesson the hard way, the very, very hard way. So now it is completely standard for us at Applewood to install grass with gopher wire. Now you might be wondering, T, tell us some more game on how you got them to, agree with you. So the first thing you never want to do is make the customer feel like they're wrong. You never want to say, you guys are wrong, you're stupid, the driveway is good. You never want to say that because then they're not gonna like you. And you would just want to suggest things to them. You just say, hey, it would look better if we do this. It would look better if we do this. And then another thing I always say is when we're talking about something, I always ask them, hey, is it okay if I tell you what I would do if I were you? And then they said, well, yeah, what would you do? And no one's never told me, no, I don't care what you would say if you were me. Everyone's always like, yeah, what would you do? And I would tell them my honest opinion. But then I also say, like, sometimes customers have their way and I know they're going to regret it. And I tell them straight up, I'm like, dude, you guys are going to regret this decision. But at the end of the day, this is your house and I will do what you want to do. Even though if I don't agree with something, but I don't think this is the right decision, but I'll still do it. So you gotta walk that fine line of not being a total douche, but not being like, oh yeah, we'll do this, no problem. Because sometimes customers have really bad ideas. Like they really do. They have bad ideas. And it's your job to convince them otherwise. Like originally the contract was, we had an old concrete walkway and they wanted us to leave the old concrete walkway and just do bricks on the right side. So there would not be new bricks on the left side. And I told them, my guys, what are we doing? Why are we going to match old concrete that's cracked with new bricks? I'm like, no. That one was a non-negotiable for me. I told them, no, I'm not doing that. We're ripping this whole thing out. And of course, after we were done with this, they said, that was a good decision. Well, of course. Like if a person works for a large company, if they're a software engineer, I would never go tell them how to do their software job. I would just listen to them. I'd say, okay, yeah, let's do what you do. And then you're the professional, you're the landscaper. So you have to make sure customers get aligned with your vision and your way of looking at things. That way it is a good thing for both of you. You get to make more money and the customer always gets what they want. That's about it, boys. Enjoy the next part of the finished product. I'll give you a walkthrough, but if you want to learn more about how to run your business better, join GoKing. The link is below. I mentor you, I show you how to do things, and I give you a lot of information. Okay, the job has come to an end. I just wanted to walk you through it. Now remember, this project started with a design like this, and it didn't have the driveway. The driveway was my convincing. And if you look on the walkway side, the walkway had this existing concrete, which of course is not here anymore. And you'd be like, T, where did it go? It's in the design. I convinced the homeowner to rip it out. And they were a little bit reluctant. They're like, no, we don't want to spend the money. I'm like, guys, just do it. You got to trust me. I know these things. It would look horrible with an old concrete and then everything brand new. So they listened and we did it anyway. Now they're very happy. She was just out of here. She's giving me a last check and she was like, this was such a good idea. And I was like, it is. It's a great idea. I have all the best ideas, but they require money. That's it. So this grass area is for the kiddos. Obviously, they already have a nice fence that will lock the kids in from running out in the street. So now the adults can hang out here, drink their whatever Kool-Aid, lemonade, and watch the kiddos play in the grass. We put a couple lights in. That little guy's an avocado tree. And then some trees. Not my favorite trees. I don't like trees that lose their leaves because it looks like a stick. And those trees were expensive. They're like $800 a piece. There's two of them. So here's what it is. And then let's go in the backyard. I'll show you the back. The backyard we did back in 2018, I think. And it was a disaster. But now it's looking quite nice. Watch out for the bulbs. So we did this in 2018, I think, and we put pavers here and we did a little artificial turf, and we came this time and installed 10 lights, which was good. And here's that little sinkhole that was here before from an existing pond, which we don't know why that was here, but we fixed it as a freebie, I guess. So now Jesus is just doing a little favor that they asked us to do, which was make sure that the lights are working properly and clipped on. So that's it. Smash up the like button or the dislike button, whatever you want. It doesn't matter to me. Just give me some, and I'll see you later.